the proof of concept wasn't on whether a dimple pattern changes aerodynamics or whether rubber is good for a mantle composition. It was whether perimeter weighted golf balls created by a hollow steel core are going to have the desired effect and be a commercializable product, and that's what it was.
What's up, golfers everywhere? Yep, we are back this week with OnCore Golf Co-founder Bret Blakely for part 2. Last week we kind of set up the backstory for you. This week, Bret relives their epic battle with the USGA, and he gets us up to speed on how far OnCore has really come in the last few years and the successes that they're already beginning to enjoy. Okay, let's get into it. We do it fast, we make it fun, turn it up, and enjoy episode 12 of the Pace of Change Golf Podcast. Hey guys, this episode of the Pace of Change Golf Podcast is brought to you by TAILOR Brands. It's 2016 and it's never been easier to start a business, sell a product, or offer a service. But oftentimes the first step in the process, designing a high quality logo and brand, keeps many would-be entrepreneurs from moving forward. But what if you could design anything you need in less than 30 seconds at an affordable cost? Does it sound impossible? With TAILOR Brands' online platform, you can. At TailorBrands.com, you can build custom logos, presentations, or even entire brands with ease. No hidden tricks, no pre-made logos. I've personally used their platforms a couple times now, and just about every other online logo design website you can find in the past. Without a doubt, TAILOR Brands' logo building process is the easiest, fastest, and highest quality product I've ever tested. Now, I could easily spend hundreds of dollars on other crowdsourcing design sites, and unfortunately, I have. But don't make the same mistake. Try it for free today. You can go through the entire process and then decide if you want to make the purchase. And as a special offer to our listeners, purchase the professional bundle and receive a free social profile banner upgrade. Guys, that's a $25 value. Use the promo code PACEOFCHANGE at checkout.
So we came up with the name OnCore, sitting in our apartment in Broome Street in, Chinatown, Soho, kind of axis of New York. And it was about 2 years, though, that it took for the intellectual property to be moved over. It took a good 2.5 years until, from the time that we named the company OnCore, until anything actually happened. So I went back to being a personal trainer in Buffalo. And did that while we were kind of waiting for all the legalities of starting a business, all that stuff to get done. And then it became about finding a manufacturer. And the one that had developed the prototype, they were the only one that we knew at the time, the only one stateside, and the only one that we knew had would be able to continue to create the ball. So the technology, the proof of concept was there, but the commercialization of it was not feasible, not with the ball that hard, and it suffered about a 25 yard distance penalty because there was zero deformation. I mean, it was just, it's like hitting a steel ball.
If anybody's ever looked at the YouTube videos where they have a video at 20,000 frames per second, and you watch a driver hit a golf ball, the golf ball essentially almost flattens out on the face.
Right.
I mean, it happens in an instant.
Pancakes.
So it completely pancakes. So what you're saying is that when you hit that original OnCore ball, that wasn't happening as much?
Yeah, I mean, very little, because the core was just so close to the outer edge that there was just not that rubber that goes around the core is called the mantle. That inner core, it's the mantle, and there was almost no mantle. I mean, there was some, but there wasn't enough.
Interesting.
So one of the changes that we made was to shrink the core, and it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's actually really significant when you're talking about the size of a golf ball. What a 1.1 inch core looks like compared to a 0.9 is staggering. I mean, it looks like it's half the size, to be honest. It's not, but it's just because you're losing a little bit of size on all areas of that core. So the 0.9-inch core, and kind of playing around with some different mantle compositions got us to a ball that was only about 10 to 15 yards shorter, still about 35% more accurate, and not anywhere near as hard of a feel. Still stiffer, but not as hard of a feel. So when we got the ball to that point was really when the company had its first exposure in public, usage of the product back in 2011.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question regarding the intellectual property. So I don't know a whole lot about the IP around golf balls, but I do know like Titleist is suing Callaway, and Callaway is suing somebody else, and companies are buying each other just to buy 450 patents, and so I know it's like super hyper competitive. How hard was it to make sure that you guys weren't infringing on somebody else's patents? I mean, I've even heard
the worry of infringing on somebody else's patents was non-existent because nobody had ever created a hollow metal core ball. So we knew for a fact that there was no issue there. Not only that, but the technology had been patented, and 3 patents were issued, back in 2006. Prior to that, before it was even prototype. So we knew that our technology for the core was never going to infringe because it was the first of its kind. The dimple pattern, right. No, I mean, the mantle, everyone's been using rubber for 30 years. So there was nothing proprietary about the rubber that we were using. And the dimple pattern, they just use a stock dimple pattern to put on the outside so that they could because the proof of concept wasn't on whether a dimple pattern changes aerodynamics or whether rubber is good for a mantle composition. It was whether perimeter weighted golf balls created by a hollow steel core are going to have the desired effect and be a commercializable product. And that's what it was. So our patents, that the engineers had filed and everything were solid, and everything else around the golf ball was nothing that we needed to worry about because that part of the ball was already established and was used by everyone. But you're right. I mean, the suing is mostly over the dimple patterns. Pro V1 has like 60 some patents on their golf ball. I mean, I can't even imagine 60 features of a golf ball that you could patent. But it goes back to the kind of the bullying nature and it's like they put 5 companies out of business last year, golf ball companies, when they sued 10 of them. There was that big article. They sued 10 companies, put 5 of them out of business just because the companies were like, these are bull crap claims that Titleist is making, but we can't afford to fight them. It's one of those things where the technology for the hollow metal core was the reason OnCore was started, because we knew we had something that nobody else could recreate. And so at that point it became, how the hell do we tell the world about it and get them interested in about it and make sure that it's something that is, people want to play with? Because if you're going to break into an industry and go against companies with decades of brand reputation, you better not be marketing to them. You better just be telling them the freaking truth.
Well, and the other thing you've got to be sure of is, you've got to be USGA conforming, because if you're not, let's be honest, who's going to play your ball if it doesn't conform to USGA standards? So I think that's a perfect time to get right into that, because not only are you, in a sense, we've talked blue ocean strategy, but you still got these massive sharks that are swimming around you, Titleist and Callaway and all these other massive ball manufacturers. So you got that on one side of you. Then you've got this other side of you, which is you're kind of at the mercy of, the USGA, our national association, which sets the standards for technology and equipment. And so talk a little bit about that, because you need to have a ball that is USGA conforming, and something like a hollow metal core, like you said, has never been done before. So how do you step into that and move forward?
Well, when Doug, invented the ball, they made sure that it was USGA conforming according to the metrics. Now, what's interesting is that in 2008, after the patent was, or after the prototype had been submitted, the patent's approved, all that kind of stuff, they added a subjective rule, and that was that the ball has to be of customary and traditional form and make. Well, how do you determine the legality of any equipment with a subjective rule that, the governing body can basically at their own discretion say, you know what, that's not customary, that's not traditional. So our ball was rejected the first time we submitted without it even being tested. They didn't even want to run it through. They didn't want to see if it was symmetrical, if it didn't exceed the distance, none of that. They didn't care. They just said this ball will never be approved or on the list.
So how many golf balls a year are submitted for approval to the USGA?
Oh, God, I have no idea. I have no idea how many golf ball companies or golf balls are submitted, but I'll tell you that even if it's a color change on the logo or a font size change or what have you, anything, or even if nothing has changed, still every year you have to resubmit the golf ball to be put on the year's list, and it costs $1,000 every time to submit it.
Oh my gosh, man!
Oh my God.
So we sent these in, and we're like, how did you reject it? You didn't even test it. And they said, well, it's not customary, it's not traditional form and make, and that's how we found out about this new rule that they had kind of slid in there. We're like,
wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Okay. Most people, when they receive that response from the USGA, are going to go, "Oh crap! Like, is this the end? We're not going to get approved by the USGA. What do we do?" I could see other people, slightly freaking out because now so much investment, so much time, so many patents, all of this money's been invested in trying to move it. And you have this other massive hurdle now, which you're trying to jump over, which is the USGA, and they don't approve it. They don't even look at it. So I need to know, you guys as founders, how do you walk through that? How do you talk yourself through that? How do you maintain confidence moving forward that, no, we're going to keep moving, we're going to keep going?
Because we looked at, we still thought we had such a differentiated product, and because we had already been doing so many, charity tournaments and different types of tournaments where the interest was overwhelming from the people. So we knew this is a product that created an insane amount of curiosity. And we looked at it in the Polara golf ball, which is never going to be on the USGA conforming list. It is, they've already actually agreed to never even submit it to the USGA. They had settled with them, back in the 70s or something, because it's so illegal and you have to realign it every single time. They basically shave down a band of the dimples in the middle, so you have to line that up.
Who plays that?
That band of.
Who's playing that golf?
Well, nobody on tour, obviously, but we know for a fact there was a good string of years where they were doing millions in sales because of good PR. A front page of on the New York Times, and they're not so.
Okay.
We said, all right, well, at worst case, we have a ball that is not conforming, but maybe we can still make a living off of it,
sure,
and create a business so we can still grow into developing other products and all that kind of stuff. And every time we get the question at a tournament and everything, they always be like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing. Is it legal? And we would it was kind of the elephant in the room. We just say, it's pending.
There you go.
But what we would always say is it conforms to all the 5 metrics, because that was not a lie. We did not make an illegal ball by quantifiable standards. What we made was a ball that scared the crap out of the USGA or its competitors, and
it's just like bureaucracy and government in other ways. There might have been a connection between, these big companies that are selling billions of dollars worth of golf balls and the people at the USGA. So there's an incentive there to go, we're going to use that subjective clause to go ahead and deny it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's 100% exactly how it is. And I mean, you go into the USGA boardroom and it's always been an exclusive sport. That has been changing over the last decade or so, but that was one of the things when we started the company. Said we got to change this about golf.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not the way to be. Nose up in the air, all that. No, let's make this an inclusive sport. Everyone should be enjoying it, all that. So anyway, we got rejected twice, and we're like, all right, we've got one more opportunity. And it was to appeal to the Executive Standard Committee. So we looked at this new subjective rule and how to attack it. And first we found out that 13 balls have been on the USGA conforming list. I believe back in the 60s and 70s, I think most of them were put out by MaxFly, that had solid steel cores. So they were not hollow. And so that means they did nothing for perimeter weighting. Yeah. That wasn't it, because the weight was still in the center. It was really just to add weight to the ball and a marketing ploy. And that was it. Secondly, the materials on our golf ball had been used in other golf equipment for decades. I mean, clubs and everything of all kind. We also pointed out that all we're doing with the golf ball is exactly what other people did with the golf clubs, and pointed out the evolutionary process of golf clubs and how if you can hollow out a driver, why can't you hollow out a ball? Nice. Or hollow out a putter or hollow out a wedge? And then going back to the Nike resin, that was what sealed it for us. That was when they had come out with that ball, and they had a full-blown ad that said never before seen or used resin material inside of a golf ball, a hammer blow to tradition. A hammer blow is what I said. And so we're like,
their exact word that they use.
So we pointed then and said, you got to be kidding me. That is on the USGA conforming list, and they are screaming to the world at the top of a roof that they are not customary or traditional in any sense of the word, and they're legal. That's a restraint of trade on us. Can you point out one other company that you have not allowed their ball to be conforming based on this new rule? Well, 11 weeks later, they sent back a notice and said that they've overturned the Equipment Standard Committee, and that they'd be sending out a letter to all manufacturers stating that for the second time in 100 years, they would be rewriting the rules of golf ball to allow a new technology. And so they made an amendment.
Amazing.
Rule 3 Appendix T, I believe it is. I can double check on that. And that was rigid cores of 0.9 inches or smaller are now deemed conforming by the USGA. But what was really cool about it was the fact that we didn't even know. It would have been awesome if we had just gotten the letter, hey, it's going to be on the conforming list now. We would have been jumping for joy. But the fact that the letter stated how historic that moment was, and that the only other time it had ever happened in over 100 years was liquid core, we were like, and this is going out to Nike and Titleist and Callaway and every ball manufacturer? Amazing. So they basically just screamed to the world that we had done something that no billion-dollar Goliath had either attempted or succeeded in doing up to that point, which is
Bret, I got to say, we both got to say congratulations, man, because this is exactly why we started the podcast, was to talk about this very thing and to have people like you on the podcast that can talk about some of these groundbreaking changes that are happening in the game of golf. Your passion, the reason why you're doing all of this, which you've stated, which is we want to grow the game of golf. We want to get away from the parts of tradition that are causing the game to shrink right now, and we want this blue ocean strategy where we can start to bring in new demos, new demographics, a new type of player, people who have previously not played golf before. So man, it's so awesome to have you on right now.
I appreciate it.
So one more question about the USGA's conforming standards on golf balls. Do they have similar restrictions on like how bouncy and so forth the ball can be?
You can't exceed a certain distance. Like it can't be, you can't just make a Super Ball that goes 500 yards with, if you look at it the right way. So there's a distance limit. It's got to be symmetrical. There is a weight to the ball, 1.62 ounces. So you can't exceed that because added weight equals more distance. So every manufacturer tries to get right up to that limit, that 1.62.
Yeah.
All of them were very fair quantifiable metrics and all made sense.
Yeah, if you want to go, what is traditional and customary when you consider that, 80 years ago, balls were made out of gutta percha.
Feathers. Yeah,
And
right.
feathers,
Gutta percha,
yeah.
right. Yep. Exactly. That's why what you said about it, the backdoor politics, all that kind of stuff, it all plays into it. You know what I mean? It's money runs everything. And I'm not saying they're run by money at all. I'm just saying that those kind of influences and that runs every industry and runs government. And I mean, we're looking at it right now. It's like everything happens by, some people behind curtains and it's certainly not any different when you get into industries that are generating billions upon billions upon billions of dollars. There is going to be, people that come in and threaten to take what a 0.5% penetration of that may not sound like anything to anybody, but that is massive when you look at how big a multi-billion-dollar market is and what that 0.5% of, half of 1% would be. It's like, well, what do you care? You have 80. Yeah, well, I want 80.5%. Right. It's like, it's a big deal. So we understood and we're kind of prepared for that pushback, but never thought it was fair. In fact, felt completely cheated, but also didn't stop the company and said we're going to make a business out of it either way. But it's either going to be a business that we can support ourselves on, hopefully, or it's going to be a business that is game-changing and goes down in history books, as were written in the legends of golf history and storytelling of this company that came and did what nobody else did. And that was kind of our motivation of being like, we're having a lot of pushback and a lot of setbacks, but every little achievement that we had was worth it. It was just because it had never been done by guys that, were 10 times stronger than us. So, but you would not imagine how hard it is to make a steel core with the specifications that this one has. You would think that would be one of the easier things in life to do, to make a round steel ball that fits inside a golf ball and make it. I mean, it's not as easy as it looks. I mean, it would take them several years to, if they come out with one, it's probably going to be developed by us, if any of the big guys do, because they're going to look at us and say, all right, they did the hard work for us. They showed there's a market for it. There's interest. Imagine what we could do if we put this in X player's hand today and said, hey, one of the best players in the world now is playing a hollow metal core ball. Great. Well, that's when they're going to do it. But they have so much money and are so big.
They won't take notice until you start to take a significant part of the market share. Then they'll perk up. Or if you get somebody, that's a high-profile player that's interested in starting to play the ball, those kinds of things then perk their ears up, get them checking out what's going on. But all small companies, all innovative companies also have to think about their exit strategy. I mean, I love how your vision goes beyond just the OnCore golf ball and how can we make a difference in the next 5 years. But you said, look, no matter what happens, we've made history. We've paved the way for not only ourselves, but for future entrepreneurs and future innovative companies to come along and take what we've done to the next level. So you're kind of looking multi-generationally at this thing and saying, man, we've made history, we've made a difference for the future of the game. And so that's got to be something where even if a bigger company does come along and says, hey, let us take it from here, if it's at the right price and you feel comfortable with that kind of partnership or that kind of, merger or whatever, acquisition, that's got to be something that you're totally fine with, because now they've taken your technology, all of your hard work, and they're going to be the ones that are able to get it out to the masses.
Yeah, but to be frank, though, we don't want to sell it.
Sure.
I mean, there's going to be a time in life where if the number was in a situation with something we're like, all right, it's time to move on, great. But they say that nobody makes it past 2 years of the PGA show. Nobody knew. Well, we just had our fourth, and we just launched our second ball. And we have the largest development tour on the West Coast. We've been sold in 21 countries and 50 states, and we're coming out with another ball this year. So we're here. I mean, we've already gone past the tough stuff.
Yeah.
And we have already felt the pushback from the big guys. Really what's cool is that this is not really about just a golf ball for us. The reason we want to keep this thing going is because we have since day one trying to create a cult following of people, not trying to get as big as the other companies, because I don't need to be. We don't need to be at all. We don't need to be able to live. But we just want to be able to continue to do this, and we get to meet a bunch of cool people, do a bunch of cool stuff. But, before every tournament, we go to a children's hospital the day before, whatever city we're in. We set up a mini putt-putt with the kids in the cancer or, unit or whatever. And some of these kids haven't left their room for 2 weeks or haven't said a word for 2 weeks. And I have cried every single time that I've got a letter or an email from the mothers or the fathers after. And that was the first, because we didn't have money to donate to organizations. So that's what we would do before tournaments.
Yeah.
It was the most amazing thing that you would ever imagine. Now we have a Play It Forward program where we have a lot of local charities in Buffalo, and we're moving to some national ones in military. We're doing a major partnership with military, First Tee, all that, where we're going to be donating different types of proceeds to organizations. And we want we want the ball to get the attention to the company, and then the people to fall in love with the people behind the company and see what we're doing and run campaigns that are, the call to action is not to come buy our ball. The call to action is go out and do something positive in your community, and we'll reward you for it with a discount, for golf balls, whatever. It's creating a movement of like-minded people, of millennials, and a generation of golfers that are going to enjoy the golf balls that we come out with, because they're always going to be cutting edge, innovative, high performance, all that. But also look at the group and say, man, those guys are pretty cool. I love, they're a diverse group. I mean, we don't talk it. Our company is about as diverse as you'll see. I mean, I've had an artist who's tattooed from head to toe, mohawk, everything, last thing you'd ever see at a country club. And we show up and they all look at us like we're dirtbags. And then they talk to this kid and realize he's one of the most brilliant people they've ever met. And now this Brian Kerr-Hodges, he's the artist, my buddy for 15 years. He's one of the most famous artists in the world right now. I mean, he's killing it. So, I mean, it's just great. It's another example of don't judge a book by its cover. You look at the people in our company, you can make assumptions very easily. Now, I'm pretty much your standard golfer look, I guess, white button-down shirt a lot of the time. But, we've got everything. My buddy Nasir Sutherland, he is the man. People love him at the tournaments. Karina, she's Hispanic. It's just like the game needs diversity. The country needs diversity. That's what America is. And we just really love being able to use the ball as a way to draw people in and then get them hooked by everything that we're trying to stand for and represent, and expose the game to kids and people that either don't know what golf is or have never even played in their life, because that's what's going to keep the sport alive. And then also being really cool, doing it, offering the apparel that we do. We have everything from flat brims to curved brims to standard to off the wall. I mean, we just really enjoy kind of taking the shackles off conformity. We like being able to say, screw it. Let's do something that has nothing to do with golf and make it have everything to do with golf.
Amazing.
Make it completely relatable. So,
one thing that I read that I was very curious about is how well the ball does putting.
The putting is probably the most consistent bit of positive feedback we get. 8 out of every 10 comments that we get or people that send back a review love the ball, and that's because it was made for the masses. I mean, it's meant to keep you in line and all that kind of stuff. The putting is something that I think is like 100%. People are like thumbs up. I liken it to a wide track tire. You think about how the undulation on the greens and everything. If you've got a ball that is not perimeter weighted, when it goes over a break or an undulation, it's going to roll over on itself much quicker, which means it's not going to keep it as straight of a line. If you have snowshoes on or you have a wide track tire, and you're on a hill that, you obviously are able to maintain a truer line and balance. And also, because it is a little bit of a stiffer ball, you know how when you putt a normal ball, there's a skid at that very first moment of impact? There's a skid on every ball. There's no skid when you putt the MA 1.0. None. It pops right off the putter. So It does keep a much truer line. So it's much more a 0.8. Now, of course, you still have to adjust, but it's less adjustment. Just like off the tee shot, if you know that you hook or fade, you have to adjust less on the tee shot. So, but yeah, putting's phenomenal.
So you said you get like 8 out of 10 positive comments. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that like the majority of the other 20% are people maybe like Bubba Watson that like love to shape shots and that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And if you're reducing spin, you can't do that. So is that mostly what
probably that and distance, right?
Well, no, the distance now. I forgot to mention before the distance. After the first change we made down to a 0.9-inch core, there was still a 10 to 15-yard distance penalty. It's gone through 3 iterations now and is now actually shooting longer than the Pro V.
Okay, how did that happen? Golly, 3 iterations. What did you do?
Yeah, so we had the 1.1 to the 0.9.
Yep.
We had an HBF from DuPont for the mantle, which we changed to a polybutadiene, just a standard rubber.
Yep.
The next iteration was went from a Surlyn cover to it's now called a nylon Surlyn. So it's a newer Surlyn that is supposed to mimic a urethane. So it's in between, kind of like a Surlyn and urethane.
Yeah.
So it's a much softer Surlyn cover.
Okay.
And along with that change was the soft cell technology, which we developed for the new ball that we just launched, the Avant.
Okay.
This has made it way softer, added about 5 to 7 yards on distance, and even prior to the last change, we were getting plus or minus 3 yards to top 9 selling tour balls with the MA 1.0. The MA 1.0 is being rebranded as the Caliber because it's got rifle spin, so Caliber referencing a bullet.
Nice.
And that is actually going live in stores. In fact, I just signed off on the final version of the new packaging today. So by the end of March, all the pro shops that we have accounts with across the country will be getting Caliber golf balls, which will be the MA 1.0, just a much improved version, and it's actually utilizing the new soft cell technology that's in our brand new ball, the Avant, as well as our hollow metal core technology. So you're getting a much more accurate and much more accurate ball. And of course, there's tons of factors and variables. There's swing speed, club loft, skill of the golfer, everything. But for the kind of swing speeds that we test at, we know that the MA 1.0 has typically been ideal for 105 and below as far as swing speed.
Okay.
Mid to high handicap. The Caliber version is probably going to be still good. That's going to be a sweet spot for it because it's still not going to. I mean, the accuracy component is still the same, and for a guy that is swinging 110 and up, they're probably good enough to also be able to shape and work it. And you're not going to be able to work it as well as you would another ball. But really, the only complaints we ever get are some drivers paired with a hollow metal core ball are really loud. Mm-hmm. Other drivers are not. I mean, the new hollowed out drivers kind of give you a pingy sound on almost any golf ball. With a hollow metal core ball in there, it can get extra loud. But if you hit our hollow metal core ball with a solid steel driver, there's no sound whatsoever. So really it's more having to do with the driver face. It's just that it's never interacted with a hollow metal core.
Hey there, everybody. This episode is also brought to you by another awesome, forward-leaning, innovative golf venture called Rival and Revel. We all look forward to that next round of golf, a trip with old friends, or a rare moment of pursuing our passions late in the evening, the sun's going down. Their goal is to make this valuable leisure time even more enjoyable, efficient, and relaxing. offering a variety of branded golf accessories, club head tech covers, and the one and only Silo Golf Club carrier. This product is a game changer in the golf industry, and it may just be a game changer for you too. If you don't know what the Silo is, press stop. Head over to their website, rivalandrevel.com, and check it out. Whether you are the super competitive player or the one that just celebrates being out there, Rival and Revel's mission is to help you make the most of it. Now, they've got a special discount just for our listeners. Use the code PACEOFCHANGE at checkout to receive 10% off your entire order.
The Avant, which I do want to mention, is the new ball that we just launched.
Is that kind of the tour, quote-unquote tour ball?
No, the tour ball is coming out later this year.
Okay.
The Avant is a two-piece, solid rubber ball, but the proprietary nature of it resides in the chemistry of polybutadiene, the blend that they put in there. You would have to interview the engineer to say, hey, what's the formulation you use in there?
Yeah.
And in fact, they gave it the name soft cell technology because this is now our proprietary component to this ball. But the reason we developed it is because we knew that we had to expand and have a more robust product portfolio because no ball, no product on earth is 100% accepted or liked or good. It's not going to be good for 100% of the market. We know 90% of people play Pro V1, even though not even 1% should be playing it.
Yeah.
It still sells. But we knew that as many people that do love the MA 1.0 and as many more that will love the Caliber, the improved version, right now the trend and what people love are super soft, distance cells and everything. And we wanted to come out with a ball that was really, really long, that was really, really soft, and that was for the guy that maybe doesn't like the MA 1.0, well, we're not going to lose him because he or she is going to love, the Avant. And we just launched it at the PGA show, and in all sincerity, I'm not marketing. We have yet to have anything short of, are you kidding me? What the hell is in this golf ball? I mean, I've got staff pros all around the country telling me they're longer on every single club. The guy, one of our best rep down here in West Palm, I had dinner with him tonight. He said he handed out the Avant to all four guys. They're all like, who the hell is OnCore? What is this? He goes, just trust me. Guy bought 4 dozen right after the round. Every other one, bought it. I mean, the testing that we've done on it, too, is showing it longer than every single ball we put it against. That includes a Pro V1. That includes, 8 yards longer. So, yeah, it's kind of scary what's going on because the guys that we brought on to make the last iteration on the MA and the guy that developed the Avant and the guys that are developing the Tour Ball are all there are 2 other engineers that are working with the engineer who invented the first one, Doug, but these 2 guys are the ones that built the Pro V1.
Oh, wow.
They are it's the most patented dimple designer in golf, and it's basically the core guru of golf. And the reason they decided to work exclusively with OnCore for the next few years is because they had essentially tapped out of what they could do as far as innovation within the design parameters that were, given out by the USGA.
Yeah.
And then when we shattered that mold and opened up a whole new set of design parameters to work under, they were like, oh, yeah, we want to get in golf again. Not that they'd ever left, really, but it got them interested. And it made them available to us where that would probably cost – it would not be affordable for us or for any company, but we lucked out in the fact that their interest level of helping pioneer something this different and innovative and all the different things that they could play around with now around this technology, I think was so exciting for them that they're like, we can make history again. We can be a part of history again.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so the Avant is the first ball that they developed from start to finish, and it is terrifying how good this thing is, and it's a 2-piece. I have had every single person say, is this a tour ball? Because I would put it against any tour ball right now. We actually had – have you heard of Craig Hocknell?
No.
No.
He was 2014 PGA Teacher of the Year. He's
Okay.
one of the most respected, guys in the industry. We just saw a YouTube video where he put our Avant, our MA 1.0, not even the improved version, against the Pro V. And his entire video, it's a 15-minute video. I'll send it to you, Scott.
Yeah.
He puts them side by side. So you have 3 tees, 3 balls, all on the same time. He never cuts the camera once, and even explains during it as he hits them each shot. He goes, I don't want anyone to think that. He goes, I don't care which ball performs the best. I want everybody to know that this is authentic. So I'm going to keep the camera on. I'm just going to talk to you guys when we walk up, and we'll pick up each balls, and I'll play it best. Guess which one was the shortest?
For me.
Yeah.
Wow.
So both of our balls, further distance. It's just really cool. We're getting that kind of feedback all the time. So, I mean, my confidence in them to develop a tour ball that is going to be the best ball that's ever been created on planet Earth is, I'm just 100% positive. And what we're thinking of, what we're looking at right now, we should be getting prototypes soon. It's going to be the first ever tour ball with a hollow metal core. This hollow metal core now is going to be a 0.5 inch. It's basically going to be like double the size of a BB. So it is going to be very small core in there. And the reason we're putting it in there is not to create perimeter weighting, because at that size, it doesn't create perimeter weighting.
No.
Or the perimeter weighting is so insignificant that, the accuracy maybe 2 to 5% or something like that. We'll have to find out from the testing. But what it is going to do is, when you talked about that pancaking effect earlier, well, this means that 0.5 inches of that ball will not be able to pancake, which means that it comes off the club face and creates a higher velocity off the club face than any other ball could, because there's that split second and that little bit that will not deform on impact, which means it's coming off that freaking club so hot, which will be great. And it's going to have the softness and everything like that. So we'll have the Avant, which is a 65 compression distance ball. We'll have the Caliber, which is a 95 compression accuracy ball, and we'll have the Tour Caliber, which will be the best of everything.
Yeah.
And it'll feature that hollow metal core.
I love how you guys have made history, and you've kind of pushed out this little corner of the market for yourself, and now you have all of this space now to iterate and to create, a whole different set of products in the golf ball industry that nobody else is doing. And so now you have time and you have space and you have this area where you can be innovative within your own little niche.
Yeah. No, it is fun. And the thing that I'm excited about is because I've always known that there's no way we can capture 100% of customers liking the ball. 100% people don't like the iPhone, don't like whatever. Best selling products in the world. So we've always been antsy to try and, how are we going to develop another ball and all that kind of stuff. And I want to put together a program, when we have all the balls, where we're basically going to surprise customers once we're ready. So it's not live yet. But when we have the other balls available, well, the 2 of them are available now, we're going to surprise them with, if somebody buys the Avant, they're going to get a 2-ball sleeve with the MA. So if they don't like the Avant, they need more accuracy, they're going to get to try that right there, and they're not even going to know it's coming to them. It's going to be free.
Awesome.
They'll be like, wow, that's awesome. Again, that's part of growing the game, but also vice versa. We send them an MA 1.0, and they're like, you know what? I like something a little softer, or I don't have a problem keeping it straight. I just need distance and feel. All right, well, great. Then maybe you'll never buy the MA 1.0 again, and you're going to love the Avant. Maybe neither of those for you would be the Tour Caliber.
Yeah.
But the point is, we want to create, a company and a line of products where you can be guaranteed that there are going to be aspects of the ball that none of the other companies have been able to do. So it'll be a first of its kind. It'll be a cool factor to it. They're all going to be high performance in their own right. And there's going to be something for every level, skill, desired preference of golfer, which would be really cool for us. And that's how we're going to kind of grow our community.
Yeah, man, that is so inspiring, man. I can't tell you what an honor it's been to have you here on the podcast, and we're so excited to continue to follow your progress, your company's progress. And so, Bret, we can't thank you enough for being on the show. If people want to follow you, if people want to follow OnCore, How can they do that online? Where can they find out more about what you're offering? Where can they go
Yep.
buy your stuff? And where can they follow you?
Sure. Well, the website is www.oncoregolf.com. Now, it's not Encore with an E. It's ONCORE golf.com. We sell our products and apparel online, but we are also in golf headquarters and specialty shops around the country. Internationally, hey, it's your luck of the draw. You might land in a country where we're being sold, but we're also in pro shops all around the country. But if you want to go online, we do have a store locator. So if you want to see if there's a pro shop near you that's carrying it, just type it in. Last year was our first year having national reps, so we expect to really expand. We've got close to 200 pro shops now. We expect to triple that probably this year. But seriously, I mean, I think what you guys are doing can't be underestimated either. I love the fact that you have a podcast and that you bring people on and that you talk about the game. I think it's really interesting. I love what you're doing with speed golf. I really enjoyed every minute talking to you as well, Scott. And dude, it's been awesome talking to you as well. So,
where are you on social media? How can people follow your journey?
Yeah, so we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just follow OnCore Golf, OnCoreGolf.com. We love engaging with all our consumers, and we'll do a lot of crowdsourcing for design ideas sometimes for shirts and everything. We do giveaways all the time too through social media. So, if you're a little strapped for cash, just keep entering those, and I'm sure you'll win one of these times.
One last question. So if I want my pro shop at the golf course where I play to start carrying your balls, how can I tell my head pro to get OnCore golf balls?
So first thing you can do to help us is ask them for it. The second thing is just let us know, but we will immediately contact them and try and make it as viable of an option for them to carry the product in there and do whatever we can to support it there.
All right, Bret, man, it's been awesome. It's been enlightening. I know our listeners are really going to enjoy this podcast. So thank you for your time, and we're definitely going to have you back on again. Would you be willing to come back on again?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like you guys too much, but no, yeah, of course. Absolutely, anytime.
Awesome, buddy. We look forward to following the progress of your company. Congratulations on making history in the world of golf. And, man, we'll talk again soon.
Thanks a lot. You guys rock.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
A dozen episodes in the books, guys. We got a carton of awesome episodes for you to check out. This is your first one. Thanks for listening. If you've listened to a few others, make sure you go back and listen to all of them. We've got some great guests in these first 12 podcasts. We look forward to the next 12 and the next 24 and beyond. Yeah, we're feeling good. And, man, we really enjoyed our conversation with Bret. I hope you did too. Don't forget, follow OnCore on social media. Sign up for their mailing list. Pretty clear their company is near a tipping point with all of the places they have their marketing going on. And so really, this is only just beginning to scale for them. So awesome product. Why not buy a dozen balls? Try out their new perimeter weighted ball technology. I mean, they've got 4 iterations on it now. And, you're going to be supporting Bret's vision to grow and evolve the game of golf. He's using it. He's doing it through golf ball technology. But remember, the innovations of today become the standards of tomorrow. So get in early. You might be hitting the golf ball of tomorrow today. And, man, if that can help you save a stroke or two, the stroke or two you've been looking for, then it's definitely worth it. So head to our website and use the latest OnCore affiliate link or discount code just for you, our listener, here on the Pace of Change Golf podcast. How can you support our efforts? Hey, follow us on Facebook. It's Facebook/Pace of Change. Over on Twitter at Pace of Change Pod. Visit our website, paceofchange.com. Hey, sign up for our newsletter as well while you're at it. We don't spam you. We don't send you a ton of information. We catch up our fans whenever we feel that it's necessary and we have something awesome to announce. Also coming soon, we're going to be doing product reviews and even discount offers on awesome, new, innovative golf products. So that'll be coming. Make sure you sign up for that on our website. Subscribe on our YouTube channel if this is where you're hearing this, or if you're over on iTunes. Hey, subscribe and just take a few minutes to leave a review of our podcast. Makes a huge difference. Helps us get our message out to even more golfers. So thank you. Every action you take above makes a bigger difference than you can imagine. How else can we serve you, the listener? What other topics would you like to hear about? We really want to know. Who in the world of golf would you like us to interview? Leave your comments on social media. Send us an email. And no, we value your feedback. All right, guys. It's been a great time with Bret Blakely. Thanks for listening in to episode 12. Until next week, pick up the pace. We'll see you next week.